Hello everyone and welcome back this time to yet another subscriber replay cast request from, as was the case last time, Asier Calvo in Dawn of War 3. This time he will be playing as the insurmountable, indomitable, various long words meaning strength basically, Space Marines. And he's playing as the noble salamanders. If you don't know 40k, the salamanders chapter of Space Marines is known for being probably the most human of Space Marine chapters. Their priority is often to save lives instead of just destroy the alien, burn the heretic, all that good stuff. Kill the Xenos. They are definitely seen as one of the more human chapters, and they are super cool. They love making things, like really, master artificer type stuff. And they love fire, because who doesn't love fire? So, thematically, great gear and flamey burny time. And you can imagine that they quite like barbecue. And I love barbecue, so, that's a very good reason to respect these guys a lot. But yeah, Bot I Wrecked This Guy is the name that the subscriber who sent in this replay, Asier Calvo, is going under. That's his name for this game. And yeah, that shows a lot of confidence. You have to respect that in a man. Or woman, indeed. And his teammate. Are you a he? You know what? Doesn't matter. His teammate is Rindau Espanol. Spanish teammate, looks like. Unless he's just put, brackets ESP for no reason. Have to imagine that means he's Spanish. But, you know what? Can't take that away from him. Just kidding. He's also playing as Space Marines, and I'm pretty sure that's the Dark Angels kind of flag or crest or whatever you want to call that. Symbol? Yeah, something like that. Dark Angels, if you don't know, they are known for being very secretive, pretty much... You know what, I'm not going to go too much into the lore, it's too complicated, and I'll just end up ranting for ages, but regardless. Two Space Marines versus their opponents. We have... God, this is... You can tell it's been a while, by the way. We have the only Xenos in this match, the Orc player, going by the name of MTKA, which is their clan, Destyled, and he has got equipped, not the new fancy grabby wagon thing, which is basically, for all intents and purposes, a super truck as an elite option, which is a bit sad, but you know what? Can't say I've tried it, maybe it sucks. Maybe it does. It looks fun, but... I've got to be honest, the stuff it provides, is that worth all of the elite points it costs to bring it out? Maybe not. Maybe not. Although, I'm definitely not the right person to ask because I haven't played in a little while. But, Destyled's teammate playing as the Space Wolves, this looks like. I'm pretty sure that's Space Wolves. That's definitely their colours. I don't know about the flag. It looks like a wolf to me. Is Suja, or Soldier. Playing as Space Marines, as you can see right here. Let's just go over to his... points of view, and he also has the Ironclad Dreadnought. This is, so both Asier Calvo, who is Bot I Wrecked This Guy, and Sulja have the Ironclad Dreadnought, and from what I've seen, it looks like a very powerful elite. Lots of crowd control, lots of AoE damage, and is just general tank and beast in close quarters, as you would expect, indeed, from a, a walking, stomping, super tough, super buff walker made by Space Marines, who are themselves super tough buff dudes. Yeah, so, without further ado, let's get into this match, shall we? So I've got actually no idea what happens in this match. What you're getting right now is very much my first impressions, if that can be what it's called. Looks like Asier Calvo, otherwise known as Bot I Wrecked This Guy, is going for very fast upgrades with an armory. I am definitely behind on the meta in Dawn of War 3 at the moment, multiplayer-wise, so looks like, yeah, we can just assume Asier's going to go for some fast upgrades and going for some very early tacticals, and those are very fast tacticals. I have to assume that he's got, yeah, there we go, Tireless, the doctrine that gives your tacticals increased speed when they're out of combat, which, at the start of the game specifically, means your tacticals can get to key points before your opponents do, get a very good positional advantage, take heavy cover, stuff like that, which is pretty sick. And that looks to be what his teammate is doing as well. What's his name? God, I've already forgotten. This is ridiculous. Rindau, that's it. Rindau is also taking a very forward position, taking that elite point generator, not putting any generator on it, so not getting any benefit from it per se, but, you know, he's got vision there now, which is cool. He knows that a servitor has just rolled up and has tried to decap it, and will decap it, given the support of these Orc boys and tactical marines at the back. We've got a servitor capping there. We've got some reinforcements. I don't think those tacticals alone will be able to... No, they definitely will not be able to force off these foes, these filthy Xeno scum from this point. So, yeah, he's just going to have to play a bit carefully there. Meanwhile, looks like... Ooh. Okay, Asier Calvo. I'm just going to call him Asier Calvo. He is very aggressively pushed up and has taken one of the resource generators, which I think you'd call is a native resource generator for the other team. Is he going to... No, he's not going to put a generator there. That's fair enough. Given the proximity to the opponent's base, it's unlikely that any generator put there would survive any length of time to be worth the investment, the upfront cost of putting it down. But you know what? Taking that point and denying it and all of its resources from the opponent team, that's pretty sound strategy right there. So what else is happening? The middle point has been wrested from the home team with Asier Calvo. So we've got 2 tacticals versus 1 tactical squad. I'm pretty sure the maths equates to these guys winning that engagement, and they surely do that. Meanwhile, I guess I'll call them the red team have captured this point. They haven't put any generators down yet, so no advantage being gained from those points. We do have a listing post over here in the top of the map. Is this the top? I guess we'll call it the west of the map. Ooh, flamers. So that was the intention. Asier wanted really fast flamer tactical marines. And as you can see, the amount of AoE damage that's being done is pretty brutal. All of these Orc squads, the shooter boys, the slugger boys, they are very low on health, as the flamers do work against high model number squads, such as, you know, any Orc squad really in the game. But assault marines are called down. They are pretty useful in disrupting the push from Asier, but sadly, given how many Orc squads are just super low in health, they can't really stick around, so they follow up the retreat, just make sure that it's a safe retreat. Oh, the Salamander's flag. A beautiful thing. Indeed. Looks like a war's going to trigger from this war tower over here. But quite frankly, a lot of these Orc squads are still very low in terms of their model counts, so they might delay a little before pushing back in. And Asier, once again, fiendishly, sneakily, very much like an Eldar player, he is sneaking in and grabbing what he can before running away. He's going to deny them these resources, get vision there by capping it, and he's taken, that's his teammate I believe, he's taken that heavy cover. Orc boys have charged in, but Space Marines are pretty good in close quarters, them being superhuman, and in power armor, as you might expect, that gives them certain advantages over other ranged only units. So they actually managed to beat down those Orc sluggers pretty easily. However, we do have a lot, and by a lot I mean a heckin' lot of assault marines here. And that's scary because the blue team currently has just a lot of ranged units. We've got tacticals under Asier, and we've got yeah, tacticals and tacticals is basically what this game is currently coming down to. Asier has opted, though, for some heavy bolter devastators. These will be useful, only so far as they don't get jumped on. But naturally, as soon as you see a heavy devastator squad or any setup squad, and you have nearby some assault marines, your initial reaction, you know, your instinct is just to press that jump button as hard as you can and just, you know, click on their little faces and watch them get smushed up. And I fully expect that to happen. It's just basically how the different units interact. If you have lots of mobility, you will trounce people who have very little mobility. unless you completely screw up and don't jump at all, in which case you probably will get shredded by their heavy bolters. But this is a gorgeous map. Damn, I appreciate these statues. Very cool, very Mechanicus with the cogs in the background. But yeah, meanwhile, we've got a lot of Assault Marines here. This was more or less the meta last time I played. Assault Marines being very good at the time, but I'm fairly sure that several balance patches have hit them fairly hard, so I imagine that they're just pretty balanced at this point. At least I'd hope so. But yeah, there's just a massive blob from MTKA Suja at the moment. Quite a good amount of unit diversity though. 3 Assault Marines and a kill team tacticals. That, you know, that's a lot of range damage and a lot of disruption and close quarters capability. So that's pretty good stuff. But meanwhile, ooh, you can see the strategy playing out for the blue team, which is the team with Asier Calvo on. They're playing super defensive at the moment. Despite the cute pokes in with the tacticals early on to try and take out this resource node, they have really just consolidated all of their currently held resource generators, putting down listing posts, turrets, and using cover as best as they can. And now we will see who wins. Devastators or Orc Boys. Sadly, Orc Boys win when the Devastators aren't set up, which is a shame, but Flamers, meanwhile, are disgustingly good. Look at the damage. Oh my god, that's going to be 1 Orc Boy squad down and 2 Assault Marine squads, you know, set way below half health. That is brutal. Absolute brutality from the Heavy Flamer squad. Not Heavy Flamer, just the Flamer squad. And we've got Chaplain Diomedes from Rindau. Oh, I love this guy. He is an absolute laugh at parties I hear. He just never goes down, no matter how much he drinks. He just keeps on standing. The same can be said in the actual game of Dawn of War 3, where he basically refuses to die. How he works is, as I've explained many times before, is basically as long as he's in combat, he continually buffs himself with a little bit of health here, a small shield there, critical hit here, you know, further shields there. It just goes on and on. The last replay cast I did for Asier Calvo, I do remember there being a Chaplain Diomedes in that as well. And he was an absolute god. Ooh, cute mace there. Very cute. That's one of the new models I imagine then in Dawn of War 3. Looks very good, looks very good. And I have to say, this map is very nice. Lots of atmosphere. Ooh, you've got like the Imperium's twin-headed eagle there on what I assume is some kind of Mechanicus guy. It looks like it, like a tech priest or something. And yeah, following those previous engagements, whilst damage was taken and losses inflicted on the blue team, they've managed to buy enough time to rebuild that listening post that was there before. So they've got a lot of defensiveness about their current strat. As you can see, it's a wall. It's the wall. Lots of turrets, you know, lots of defensiveness. If any of these points and generators across the middle of the map get attacked, hopefully those turrets will buy enough time for blue team's units to just waltz on up and defend them if they can. Meanwhile, we do also have... Ooh, we've got a Weird Boy on the field. We got a Weird Boy. So, Weird Boy Zapnoggin, an absolute menace, especially when he's wearing that top hat and white sort of face paint. Pretty terrifying. I'm sure you'll agree. Not too sure what the strat is for the moment for the red team. In terms of resources, they are definitely being outmatched. The fact is that the blue team have more resource nodes than the red team do. There are some missing generators here and there, but by and large, this should equate to more economy for the blue team as compared to red. But I'm sure red have a plan, and here is that plan. They're going to trigger a war and charge in. That's a pretty orky plan, and I have to say I do approve. When you're playing as orcs, you do have to roleplay to some degree. And let's see what happens. I have to imagine, given the proximity, that they will go for this resource node down here on the south. Wait for it. Yep, that looks like a distinctly southern angle of approach, angle of attack. And both team members for red are indeed heading down here. So this should be pretty interesting. Let's see if blue team, who are very much consolidated around the westernmost point, re-maneuver their forces to defend this push. Alternatively, they could opt to instead push on this top side, take that resource node, that generator out, and the turret, take out this ward tower. These buildings are very exposed. That would be a very sweet move. I would love to see that off of blue. Looks like red team successfully take that out. Ooh. Some of the moving reinforcements from Rindau were intercepted by the Orc player here. And whenever you let the Orc player get right in the middle of a bunch of tacticals, that's never a good sign, I find. Oh, that tactical, he got smashed. We've got a lot of Daka here from Rindau, but is it enough? To be fair, it looks like it might be. I mean, Gabriel Angelos is pretty terrifying, but everything else kind of got smashed there. You know, an assault squad was taken basically out of the fight. Orc Boy squad basically taken out of the fight. Ooh, and Asier Calvo doing what I really wanted to see, what I mentioned earlier. He is pushing, you know, trying to force the other team to split up. Looks like some Def Gun looters are on the defensive kind of positioning here, so these tacticals will have to retreat. Asier will need some kind of assault squad or scout, something like that, or just a chunky elite to deal with these guys, unless they walk away and get messed up by their counterparts, the Heavy Bolter Devastators, which is what happens, and they lose a model or two. So that's pretty brutal. Ooh, we've got War Boss Gorguts here on the field. He does provide, if you don't know, a ton of crowd control and also just general utility. Yeah, love that guy. Really fun to use. Just throwing his hook around, just repelling him up into some enemy forces that don't want a massive Orc War Boss Chieftain guy just messing up their day with a Power Claw. A lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. So, those are some Orc knobs I just saw. I don't know where they went. Here they are. Upgraded with... Nope, not yet upgraded with scrap, but will be in just a second. There they are. So now they can throw their chopper and stun a unit, which is very powerful. Very powerful ability indeed. Probably one of the more powerful scrap upgrades in the game for Orcs, if I'm completely honest. It means that they independently can stun a target and then close with them and then taunt them without needing the help of, say, a truck flinging them into the middle of like a group of stuff. They can just, you know, chopper toss, walk up, boom. Very effective. So, meanwhile, what is happening? Looks like red team recaptured their resource point here. And we're more or less back to where we were before, with blue having much more of an eco than red, but red team did successfully capture this. And it looks like they are building some generators on here, so that's pretty cool for them. Retaking the economic lead that blue team have been accruing. Oh, and we've got the... Yep, that's the Ironclad Dreadnought right there, you can see. Just tons of ranged firepower, despite being a melee walker, technically. Yeah, look at the disruption it did, all by itself. It bought the time necessary for Rindau's reinforcements to come up and support it. And that is the advantage of putting it in a sneaky position. Can get all of its abilities triggered, get, you know, massive hits with them, and yeah. As you can see, the cooldowns very nearly expired, so this push should be quite effective. There is a Gabriel Angelos there, but if this Ironclad Dreadnought is used effectively, it should be able to beat out that Gabriel Angelos for sure. No abilities being used quite yet. I'm sure there is a plan for that. Yep, there we go. That was the assault launcher used in that kind of general direction. And looks like one of the other abilities was used as well. Meanwhile, wow, that is a very forward machine cult shop there. Wow, that is ballsy. That is very ballsy. Unfortunately, the opponent's Space Marine player does indeed have some anti-tank, anti-vehicle firepower with those las cannon devastators, so the Ironclad Dreadnought does want to be careful. It won't be able to solo, you know, just a bunch of tacticals and Orc boys, as it will get destroyed by those. Basically the counter to it for Space Marines. Meanwhile, looks like Asier also wants to be getting some fancy units. What would he go for first, though? He is making some drop pods. I just want to see what he's actually going to make with this. What can he afford? I have not been keeping track of the resources this game, really. He can't afford much. So that's not going to be a problem for Red Team for a little while. So that's good for them. Less good for Blue, but you know what? I am an impartial and balanced commentator. Meanwhile, Red's just kind of consolidating after that push. They did successfully decap this resource node for Blue. They're not going to bother making any generators there because, as I said earlier with this, it's just not worth it. It's so close to the enemy team's bases that chances are those generators, if you make them, will just get destroyed very quickly without paying for themselves, so, you know, not really worth it. But Blue Team doing very cute tactics, I've got to be honest, just poking in, destroying, you know, a listening post and a generator, poking back out. If Red Team actually respond to that kind of poke in, poke out kind of move, then they get pulled out of position, as is the case here. And now they're attacking in the range of a listening post, which is not ideal. Although reinforcements in the form of Space Wolf Dreadnought, oh boy, that changes this fight completely. Asier Calvo, very lacking on the anti-vehicular weaponry, so this Dreadnought is just going to mess up these tacticals, as they are specialized for definitely anti-infantry based fights with those flamers of theirs. Oh, no, there we go. I do believe that is... Nope. I'm pretty sure one of these devastators have las cannons. There we go. At least one of them do, so they do have a response to this Dreadnought. But will it be enough? As the Dreadnought is a fearsomely tanky unit, look at the amount of damage it's absorbing. Sure, you don't expect the tacticals to do much damage to a heavily armored unit, but the las cannons, they should, you'd think, do a bit more. But that is the power of such a tanky, beefy unit. It costs a lot, but you definitely get what you pay for. I will say that much. What is its max health? 2,800 worth of heavy armor health. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. It is retreating though. This push was by and large successful, I would say, for Red Team. They just need to poke in and they'll take out these generators from Blue, nullifying their economic lead. But meanwhile, Blue are teching against all of the heavily armored units that they're facing at the moment. The Dreadnought, those las cannons will be good against trucks as well, which makes Orc units quite a bit worse, especially, you know, knobs, if they don't have the scrap upgrade. And that is a Chaplain Diomedes, very daringly called in the thick of this fight. No real reinforcements? Oh, there they are. Not bad. Okay, that was worth it. That was totally worth it. Gorguts sadly leaving this particular fight. He is an Orc. He will return and fight another day, but you know what? He's just going to go and count his teeth collection. Just reassure himself that he is indeed the war boss of this particular band of Orcs, as he does have the most teeth, and he is the biggest, naturally. Oh, that Ironclad Dreadnought, it looks absolutely sick. And this is the Salamander's skin for it, so very thematic, as... Whose is this? That is Asier Calvo's, and he is playing a Salamander, so there we go. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I do like a bit of thematic accuracy when I'm watching a Dawn of War 3 game, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Ooh, the Dreadnoughts. Sadly, it wasted its ability on the shield itself. Honestly, given how much damage it does in melee, it's worth it just to punch down the shield with its standard attacks and save your cooldowns, but I guess it'll be off cooldown soon enough. That only would have been a poor move if this Dreadnought had been like attacked from some other angle by something relatively scary, in which case you would have wanted that ability available for use. But turns out didn't really make any difference. And these Orc looters are going to get shredded by bolter and las cannon fire, and these heavy bolter devastators will suffer the same fate, although more of a punchy, you know, mechanical arm fate than a shooty fate. Meanwhile, Asier Calvo, man, so sneaky. I'm loving this movement about the map, just poking in, taking out generators here and there, you know, just stunting the economic growth and comeback of Red Team, as even though Red have successfully decapped this resource point here and put generators on this resource point here, they are losing generators on the left-hand side, as, let's face it, the bulk of their defensive kind of units, you know, all these devastators, all these turrets, this war tower, they're all on the right-hand side, the east. But to the west, look to the west. Stuff is happening. Scary stuff at that. So let's have a look here. The Ironclad Dreadnought going as strong as ever. Looking absolutely amazing. Meanwhile, a bit of a stalemate, to be honest. Blue overall do still have an economic lead, but Red have been very aggressive on this side of the map. And that is a lot of Space Marine stuff. Definitely a lot of stuff. Oh, Blue decapping this. Recapping it for their own team. Will Red respond? I feel like they have to be honest. What's the point of having all this stuff here if you're not going to use it when the opportunity arises to get some damage in? And possibly wipe out some Space Marines as well. Although that is a lot of plasma gun equipped Space Marine tactical squads. So anything that goes near these guys is going to take a pounding. An absolute pounding. Ooh, someone's making a whirlwind. That is Asier Calvo. Making a second one as well. Yep. Most of the time, when you see one whirlwind, you know that there are going to be at least 5 more in the production queue at some point later in the game, if it goes on that long, as when you stack whirlwinds and their abilities, they just get better and better. You know, increased disruption, increased damage, you know, just massively boosted defensive capability. Essentially forcing your opponent to either take free damage or force them to hunt down your whirlwinds in the first place. For which they would need, you know, land speeders equipped with multi-melters, something like that. Something really mobile. That is a Mad Red. Now, I don't know if the Mad Red was actually buffed, but back when I was playing just a couple of months ago, it wasn't considered the best unit. Definitely really fun though. And very easy to use as well. It's just got, I think it's just a single active ability, to be honest. You know, you tunnel and then things follow you and terrible things happen to your opponents, hopefully. At least that is the plan. Okay. Red team. Oh, the surprise. It's a trap. Oh, it's a double trap. Oh, the trappers were trapped within their own trap. What is this? The Inception is real in the 40k universe at the moment. This is... I mean, to be fair to the blue team, they are doing so much damage to these dreadnoughts, even though they were freshly cooled down via drop pod. They are getting shredded with this las cannon and plasma fire. Oh my god. Although red team do indeed have their own ironclad, but now that it's unsupported, it's just going to get wrecked. You know, it's by itself, and it's super slow. It will not be able to retreat from this engagement. Oh, my poor friend. Yep. That was a sad way to go for such a powerful, beautiful example of the Omnisia's work. Damn. Feels bad, man. Feels very bad, man. And we've got a sneaky Dreadnought. Standard Dreadnought this time, I think. Is that? Yeah, it must be. Must be. Apparently drop podded down, I guess, to do damage to these Warg towers on the backline. Very confident in that usage, as that could have been very useful in the fight had it gone slightly worse for blue team, but never mind, it worked out. Carefully calculated, as opposed to presumptuous, I like to think. Oh my god, so much Dakar on show for blue team. This is terrifying. And they've got the Dakar-focused Terminator squad, not the Assault Terminators who can teleport, and, well, both can teleport, who can slam the ground, but the ranged-focused Terminator squad who can not call down, but basically fire missiles from their missile pods. And also do kind of this ranged thingamabob. But you know what? That's cool. They are proving to be very effective. And now blue team has, once again, every central resource point in the game. And Asier Calvo with his very sneaky... Where are they? Okay, well, wherever his whirlwinds are, they're doing work. The Orc squad's just very grouped up, as they tend to be. It's actually quite hard to kind of remind yourself to split up your forces as an Orc player, because the way War works, that mechanic, you kind of want them to be grouped so they all get hit with it, but yeah. Meanwhile, Ironclad Dreadnought for Team Blue is pushing in to kill some generators, but meanwhile, on the east side of the map, the Terminators for Team Blue are kind of getting trapped and messed up. They've got to teleport off cooldown. Where are they? They're down here, and they're completely safe now. The Orc player not having too much chase ability outside of maybe burning the tunnel on Madred or throwing some Orcs over there. From the truck, ooh, blue team has a Predator. That is the anti-vehicle specialized Predator. Oh no, the Whirlwinds! This was where they were hiding. Not so much hiding as just sitting there. A bit of mismicro from blue team there. They gave those up for free. But the Dreadnought will get some free shots off onto it. Not this Dreadnought. This Predator will get some free shots off onto the Dreadnought, which is cool. Let's hope it gets pulled back. And it does. That's excellent for Team Blue. Meanwhile, as mentioned earlier, Asier Calvo loving the sneaky tactics. I'm not sure if this is a chapter doctrine known for the salamanders to kind of engage in, but you know what? Thematically inaccurate it may be, effective it definitely is. As you can see, they've decapped this, they're keeping a squad there to contest it. They've got ranged units here, they've got an Ironclad here. Ooh, that's possibly a bad position for the Ironclad. Left behind to do some damage, maybe on purpose. Let's see if its abilities actually get triggered. Looks like they were already used. Will Asier reinforce and give it a helping hand? Doesn't look like it. It will go down. He's sort of using it, it looks like, to buy time to call in some of his own stuff and his super ability, the Space Marines laser orbital bombardment thingamajig. It is hopefully going to take out that weird boy. He does have some scrap shield available, but I imagine he will go down as his health is very low for a unit. Going down, going down. Will it die? Yes, it will. Zap Noggin down. Meanwhile, the mass devastator squads for Team Blue are doing some work. They scare off their counterparts for Team Red. And, yeah. I feel like Team Red are really hurting in this game at this point. Chaplain Diomedes leading the charge, as he should, inspiring his fellow Space Marines to have faith in the Emperor. Going for a one-on-one solo with the Warboss. As you can see, constantly buffing himself with shields and small heals as he fights. Very powerful unit indeed. If only because he takes so long for your opponent to kill. He'll just absorb all the firepower in the world. Meanwhile, Warboss doing what he should be doing, to be fair. This is excellent use of the Warboss here. Using his claw to get right in the middle of all those heavy ranged setup units. Buying a lot of time for his other units to kind of catch up, and his teammates catch up here. Holy dingo. Warboss down. Warboss down. But once again, we have another Dreadnought called in by the Space Wolf player over on Team Red. Definitely a Space Wolf approved stratagem, you know. Get right on top of your opponent and mess them up in close quarters. That seems pretty good to me for a Space Wolf to do. Even one left in a, you know, an ancient sarcophagus surrounded by armor, such as this Dreadnought right here. But Blue's forces are pretty badly damaged, so maybe they will have to give up this listening post and the generator they were building here, and just go and reinforce, because quite frankly they don't want to lose these squads for free. That would be bad. Fortunately, they do have a forward reinforcement point with that Doctrine Chapel there. Oh no, but Red Team's just called in their own Ironclad Dreadnought. So this is two Dreadnoughts, one of them being a Super Dreadnought, essentially, facing off against one. That is not a fight that the single Dreadnought for Team Blue wins, especially given this much supportive fires, so he will be going down. Oh, look at the charge here. Damage. Oh man, it's a good thing they had those shields, otherwise they would have taken losses there. So many Dreadnoughts. And can you blame the people playing this game, because quite frankly the Dreadnought is one of the coolest units in 40k. It's just a fact of life. Okay. Meanwhile, wow, that is a ballsy Deathstorm drop pod right there. It probably did some fair amount of damage, but it also went down hellishly quickly. Oh, and turnabout is fair play as the Ironclad Dreadnought for Team Red also goes down. So both teams throwing away their Ironclads. They just do not care that, you know, each chapter only has so many Ironclads. Them being such a hard thing for the Mechanicus to recreate at this point in the 41st millennium. Blue team using some of their own drop pods of the Deathstorm variety. And Asier Calvo once again poking in with, this time, his kill team, which is a bit risky as you don't really want to lose them. You want to keep their grenade for big engagements and get value off of that percentage damage. But you know what? The missile launcher will help in taking out this generator, so you know what? It's cool. Doing the damage. So if I had to recap strategies for the game so far, Blue has been very focused on creating a wall of defense with listening posts across the middle, and Red has just been consolidating a massive forward base just here. You can see loads of Death Dreads. My apologies there to all you orcs who were deeply offended by my mistake, and a couple of killer cans. So this is very much a mech-focused horde of orcs here, which is pretty cool. Don't see that too often. Got to give the mech boys their credit. They can make some pretty spiff and flash machines when they want to, and you give them some good teeth to spend. So who will win this engagement? Oh my god, that's a lot of plasma. Oh my god. The Death Dread fearlessly charging in whilst his ally and compatriot just chills and then goes in. But this is so much plasma. Oh no! Was that Orc Knobs? It was. Yeah, it was. That was the perfect Orc Knob usage from a truck. Getting the taunt off. And the second taunt triggers as well with the truck ability. Oh, this is absolutely savage. All of these heavy range units, all of the Devastators, Last Cannon Devastators, Tacticals of Plasma, they do not want to be fighting Orc Knobs. That is not what they do good at. If that was proper English, it probably wasn't. Ignore it. Oh no, but the Terminators, the ranged Terminators are back on the field, shooting out with their missile pod things. I forget what they're called. One Dreadnought goes down, both Death Dreads went down similarly. Warboss Gorguts getting pulled back, possibly to be thrown out again to get the stun off, I guess? Who knows? Meanwhile, the Orc Knobs are still alive and very much kicking. Oh, but the Ironclad Dreadnought for Team Blue is back on the field. One of the Orc Nob squads gets taken out by all this las cannon fire over here. And the second one goes down as well. Gorguts gets flung out to fight for his life against the Dreadnought, and he's at half health already, so I don't really favour him in this fight. You know, he is pretty big, he's pretty scary, but so is an Ironclad Dreadnought, and in terms of game terms, an Ironclad Dreadnought just costs more, therefore is just better. Yep, there we go. Sucks to be Gorguts today. That is definitely the case. Oh, that was a beautiful ability there. What is that even called? Seismic Slam. Very cool stuff. As you can see, using all of the abilities to maximum effectiveness, getting massive AoE done against this Orc player and Space Marine player from Team Red. Team Blue looking like they're in a winning position. Oh no! Solaria. Haven't seen her in a while. Probably my favourite elite in Dawn of War 3. She's just an absolute beast when it comes to ranged combat. And it is, that's Rindau's actually. Rindau, you've been hiding from me with this fair lady. She is an absolute beast. Okay, so the Mad Dread is gonna die. Even with his ability to regen off of scrap. I think it is regenning off of scrap, yeah. He will not survive that. And Imperial Knight Solaria survives to shoot again another day. And just to remind you folks at home, Imperial Knight Solaria does indeed cost 10 elite points. And that means she's basically the strongest thing in the game that you can ever make. As nothing else costs that much. Naturally she has counters, but yeah. When you're already behind and your opponents have a Imperial Knight to play with, yeah, that's pretty bad. That is pretty bad. Ooh, Deathstorm drop pod. Cooled down, but it's in the middle of a lot of Space Marines, so it gets shut up pretty quick. And the continuing strat from the Space Wolf player of dropping Dreadnoughts whenever he can, whenever he possibly can, is used again. And to be fair, it's worked out pretty well. He's done a lot of damage, probably killed a lot of models. But yeah, that was not a fight he was ever going to win. And this Predator, is that the same Predator that survived from earlier? It must be. Must be. That's actually quite impressive. Okay, we've got the Weird Boy getting targeted down again for the second time in this game. There we go. Getting sucked up into the beam and then lasered to death. Honestly, it's impressive that he survives this long, this close to a, you know, an orbital ship's, you know, laser battery, but I guess he's using the power of the warp to kind of deflect some of it, whilst his toes get singed a bit. Something like that. Let's face it, this is 40k. Anything can and will happen. We shouldn't question the universe too heavily. But, yeah. Not looking too good for Team Red, that is for sure. A ton of plasma and las cannon devastators available for both Asier Calvo and his good teammate Rindau. And needless to say, Rindau has a rapidly repairing Imperial Knight Solaria, which is, you know, pretty damn terrifying for Team Red. That is an Ironclad Dreadnought, to be fair, which is pretty beast. But there comes a point where even the best Dreadnought just doesn't match up to, you know, any kind of Knight. Be it Wraith Knight, Imperial Knight, anything. You know, it's just the tier below that kind of unit. Although, holy hell, that was pretty cool. You cannot deny that was a pretty cool move there. Just waltzes up, bam, gets slammed on. Oh, gets dunked on the head with a drop pod. A Deathstorm drop pod. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well played. Pretty cool stuff. Oh my god, so much plasma. This is pretty filthy, but equally that taunt is also pretty filthy. Just disrupts all of those ranged units from firing for, you know, a good few seconds. Buys time for the knobs to kind of get their... what's their armor called? The mega armor that explodes to trigger at least once. Get some AoE done. And, you know, that one knob squad did that much damage. to all of those units. That's pretty insane when you think about it. Very cost-effective unit indeed. Until ultra late game, I guess. Meanwhile, one turret being assaulted from this side. A shield generator getting assaulted on this side. And yeah, I think this is the beginning of the end for Team Red. Whilst I do like to support any free and I guess any Xenos player out there, the Space Marines, the United Space Marine Force from Team Blue was just too much firepower. The defensive strat of taking a listening post, listening post, followed by just sneaking in, decapping points and sneaking out from Asier Calvo. Very well done from him. And his teammate, you know, defending this side very effectively against the heavily consolidated position that was here, which they have now pushed past. And that is a Death Dread being sacrificed to the Blood God, naturally. Chaplain Diomedes, man, he has done work this game as well. Shout out to Chaplain Diomedes. An absolute beast. And there we go. The game ends. So, yeah, thank you Asier Calvo for sending that in. That was an absolute blast to cast. I love casting this, as I don't actually get to play too much Dawn of War 3 at this point. But yeah, awesome game. Awesome match. Great usage of strategy there. You know, defensive followed by just splitting up the opponents. You had the economic lead from pretty much the first 5 minutes and did very well to keep it for as long as you did. And yeah, that was pretty epic. So thank you for submitting that. Yeah, that will be all. And I can see that my green screen has kind of died towards the end. Hope that wasn't too distracting. But regardless, thank you for watching. This has been me. And yeah, if you want more games casted, by all means, I will do so. Ta-ra!